up the we're gonna switch up the vibes for a little bit. Shoot the breeze topic number 2 says Iran hip hop. Who knew? This comes with a link that takes us to YouTube. Iran hip hop. Make sure you guys can see my screen. Let's double check. Yes, you can. So we'll check this out and then we'll discuss it.
Yeah. You crossed the ocean just to find your granted. Sacrifice your own boys for a lie. Listen. Yeah. Yeah. Make America great again. Yo, Tails, this shit crazy. Yeah, make America great again now. We will see what happens, yeah. Watch this. Sacred defense, we protecting the soil. While you sacrifice soldiers to pay for your spoil. You first who ran the blow, sitting on your throne. Now we turning every base into a bed of stone. It's a slaughterhouse, a trap you couldn't see. Welcome to the graveyard of your vanity. The secrets are leaking. The pressure is rising. We locked on the target. And now you are hiding. LOSC. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSC. Taste the ass of defeat. LOSC. Yeah, we spelling at your name. Send them to the slaughter, you the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSC. Taste the ass of defeat. Swag's fighting in your suit, hiding Epstein's ghost. You sent your boys to die on the bloody coast. Not a revenge for the leader's blood is purely mine. Every drop of his blood is a missile on the line. You thought you took him out, thought the fire was dead, but another commonality is standing ahead. Yeah, you strike one down, we just shatter your brain. We put another in the leg. Commonate again. The secrets are leaking. The pressure is rising. We locked on the target. And now you are hiding. LOSC. Yeah, we spelling out your name. Send them to the slaughter. You the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSC. Yeah, we spelling out your name. Send them to the slaughter. You the only one to blame. Bleeding for a puppet while you shaking in your sweet. LOSC. Taste the ash of defeat. Sacred defense of the homeland. Sacred defense of the homeland. Sacred defense of the homeland. The slaughterhouse is open. Common name cash. LOSC.
Some of y'all will be bumping the anti-Traore rap song in a couple of weeks' time. With that said, it's interesting too. Let me just read this real quick. At the end of the video, it says, "You will drown in our blood. You made a grave mistake by choosing to attack us. Among all U.S. presidents, you stand out for making one of the most reckless and misguided decisions. You underestimated the strength, resilience, and unity of our people. History will judge this choice, and it will not be in your favor. No thanks you for your attention, I guess, in this matter, the people of Iran." Cheryl in the chat says, "I'm thoroughly confused." The matron says, "Iranians are excellent propagandists. Who knew?" In the chat, Black Seal said, "This is the type of propaganda I'm falling for." Lord of Slaughter says, "I think it was AI who created." Yeah, absolutely, they used AI to create a song and the visuals. But Iranian rap as propaganda. Who do you guys think in the chat? Who do you guys think this was directed to, really and truly? Let me start with Black Seal, who made the comment in the chat. What say you to what you just heard and saw?
Well, you know, hip hop has often been the voice of protest, right? Music has often been a tool of propaganda, spreading messages, and hip hop has definitely been at the forefront of that. I think it's because hip hop has become so commercialized that we forget how it started. You know, it was really young African people, African black people in New York City in particular, but throughout the United States, using music as a way to express their discontent within the system. What has happened is that it has become co-opted. We no longer run it, but I think so. The Iranians, by using the hip hop, like you said, it's AI. That is what hip hop was originally meant to be used for. Was to speak to the voices of the people who didn't have a voice, you know. So I thought it was a very good video. It definitely got their point across that this war. He talked about make America great again, right? The whole point of making America great again was to focus on America, not get involved in foreign entanglements. And they said something very interesting in that video. Many U.S. presidents have been enticed to go to war with Iran. But only Trump was the one who took the belt. Obama, George W. Bush, Clinton, Biden, so on and so forth. So many other presidents have been propositioned by Israel to go to war, but they said Trump was the only one who was dumb enough to do it. And overall, like I said, it was a good video. He did his job. I hate to think what would happen in the hands of somebody who was less scrupulous, who didn't really have the people's best interest at heart. But overall, I think it does a good message. We know who the enemy is. They made the connection to Epstein. Trying to say this is all, you're being led to your destruction by a bunch of pedophiles. It kind of casts doubt, especially in the eyes of Americans and the average ordinary person. It casts doubt on what this whole thing is about. How they sort of, even when you're at wartime, you always have that person who's spreading and telling you you should go home, American, or GI, you're getting killed for no reason. Or even like during Vietnam, when the Vietnamese were like, this is not your war, black people. Why are you fighting us? You got problems to deal with at home. Why are you causing us problems? Stuff like that. That sort of imaging and messaging, it gets in people's head. And this type of stuff is very catchy. Legos, even though I used to play with Legos as a kid, but Legos are no longer a kid's toy, believe it or not. There are more adults buying Legos than there are children. And the cost of these things have skyrocketed. I used to be in Legos when I was a little kid. My mom would buy me Legos and whatnot. And they have a Lego store in the mall near here. I go into the Lego store. They got the Lego sets for $100, $150. You can buy the Lego Death Star from Star Wars. You can buy Lego Ferraris and everything. These are expensive toys. And it speaks to a sort of almost like a class issue where you had these people who enjoyed this toy as a child. They grew up, they didn't want to stop playing with their Legos. But now you have this AI video, this propaganda video. I think it's definitely going to influence a lot of people. So I'll leave it there. Thanks.
Like I said, before you sign out completely, let me just ask you a real quick question. Well, two things. Well, first a question. So do you think hip hop today can still be a tool for liberation globally, or has it been commercialized to the point where it's just lost the edge completely? A lot of Slaughter in the chat said something like, we let the European promote our culture and now it's no longer ours. Do you think that's true, what a lot of Slaughter saying? Or do you think that there is something to hip hop that can still be used?
I do think it's something in hip hop that can be used, but I don't disagree with him that they've used hip hop and they've co-opted to the point where the messaging is more negative than positive. And because African people, black people don't run these corporations, we don't run the airways and the radio and so on and so forth. What gets put out, and most people don't listen to the radio anymore, but you have the online streaming sites, you have the memes and whatnot, and TikTok, and music gets out that way. Because we don't really run these things, the positive stuff that we create doesn't get as much airplay. You got to look a little bit harder for it, but it still has the potential. But I really think every art, every form of music that Black people have created has been co-opted eventually. You know, they always take our genes and they use it against us. So hip hop does have the potential, yes, but I think that you would have to look and dig a little bit deeper to really get to the good stuff.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. Let's welcome in Sister Cheryl this week. Sister Cheryl, how are you?
I'm good. Just over here making my food, just listening to y'all.
I like that.
Hmm.
I like that. I'm about to go pour me a drink after listening to Juan in the last prompt. But in the meantime, Sister Cheryl, what did you think of that presentation just now?
Honestly, I was confused. Like I didn't know whether this was like I was like, oh, it could be AI. I didn't know if it was actual black people doing it or like other people doing it. I was so confused. Um, but I want to say like I hope everybody knows that like Middle Eastern people, they are heavily influenced by our music over here. But usually when they try to partake in our music, they do it in their own language. And I think it's hilarious that they got their whole own language and they decide to use English. To me, because Palestine, I mean, oh, what are they? Iranians? Are they Iranian or Palestinian? Sorry, I don't know which one they are. But they could have used their own language, but they chose to use English, and I think that's noteworthy uh, because I don't think Iranians are whoever created this is not stupid. They're just not doing it just for fun. They're trying to reach a certain audience. Um, and I think there are a lot of black people who join the military, and I think maybe the intended audience is people who are on the fence or who may not be sure about what the U.S. military is doing right now. Because you got a lot of people, social media, they're in the military, maybe they're questioning their purpose. Maybe they're saying things like, well, we're fighting a war for Israel, where they say things like this. So I think it's clever on their end to maybe they're trying to disrupt. I don't know. This is just a thought that I had. It doesn't have to be true. But maybe they're trying to like disrupt, create dissension in the ranks in I don't know, U.S. military. I'm not saying it's going to be effective. I'm not even saying that it's funny, it's clever, it makes sense. But the fact that it was put out by the Iranians, they didn't use their own language. They have their own language, and they rap in their own language, and they decide to use English because they're trying to reach somebody specific. And black people make up a large portion of U.S. military. And also, this wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened, like other groups of people when they're trying to galvanize and they're trying to fight America, or they have a problem with some of the decisions that America makes in their own country, they tend to always use kind of like black people to give them just a little back like that. And black people, sometimes we fall for it. We just go like, oh wow, that's wrong what they're doing to their country. I stand with Israel. I stand with, or not Israel. I stand with Iran. I stand with this country. I stand. Black people kind of we so all over the place, and this is the humanism thing coming into play here now, because it's like for a black person who is confused, who look at that, and let's say they know it's an Iranian person putting that out, they're like, yeah, we're allies with them. Okay, well, based on what? See, like black. That's how like confused we are as a people. Some of us will look at this and think that, well, they see the problem that we see, so we must be allies. So I think they're trying. I'm not saying they're going to be successful, but I think every country's go-to is black music and black people when they have a problem in their own country. That tends to be this is not the first time. This is not new. But that's what I see. Doesn't have to be right, but that's what I see.
That's
Coco,
a great.
this ain't even the best one, man. They got another one they put out that showed Malcolm X loading the missile. Man.
Oh, for real?
Yes,
That
that
is
was actually
hilarious.
this ain't even
Hilarious.
the best one. They had The Native
Hilarious.
Americans shoot the missile. It had the black people who had been enslaved shoot the missile. The children of Gaza shooting the missile. The
That's
children
wild
of
and exotic.
Island. This is a good one,
Lord.
but their propaganda has been top tier. Joseph Goebbels, eat your heart out.
I have to look that up. That's good to hear. Sister Cheryl, let me, if you don't mind, you can say no comment if you want.
Yeah.
But where do you think Black people as a group should stand in this Iran, U.S. / Israel conflict?
I mean, it's like, I guess if that's your thing, if you want to support them, whatever. I mean, like, here's the thing: if you don't stand with them, or if you don't have an opinion, let's say you don't have an opinion, then somebody else comes along try to make you feel bad for not having an opinion. Like if that was the scenario, I wouldn't let nobody make me feel bad about not having an opinion. Because what, it, like, we got issues. We shouldn't be gaslighted into go into all of the movements and all of the stuff, putting ourselves in harm's way just to support another people when you got to put yourself first. That's it. I mean, people like to go on this thing. They like to say, they like to really use Black people in the media. Oh, well, do you care about what's going on in Palestine? Or do you care about what's going, sorry, I keep saying Palestine. Iran, like, and if we say something like, no, I don't know, whatever, that's their thing. If we say something like that on a media stage, and white people put us on in the media, they gonna be like, oh, you don't care, you hate them, you hate them. And I'm like, oh, here goes the gaslighting again. Here we go. Like, so to me, that's a problem. Oh, woe is them. That's messed up. We got our own problem. We gotta fix our own house. So I'm not into making anybody feel bad for not saying anything. Not so much not supporting, but just not saying anything, because we got other stuff we worried about. So that's how I feel.
No respect to that. There was no, just to be clear, from in terms of my intentions, there was no right or wrong answer for me if you decide to kind of stand to the side on this one, But it's an interesting thing that they appeal to Black folks in these things. Who was the Vietnamese? I think Black Steel mentioned the Vietnamese did that. Hey, soul brother, this is not your war. Some people might say, well, these folks are trying to use Black folks, but it also could be these folks are trying to wake your ass up.
They
It
are.
also,
They are. And
I think they're just trying to use Black people. I'm sorry.
let me if the Black people in America, especially back in the day when we were more militant, right? But Black people in the United States have always been seen as a fifth column, right? As a potential threat to America sovereignty. So many other countries see that. So, like, for example, during the Cold War, when the Soviet Union and the United States were striving for control, the United States was going around talking about democracy and, the free world and keeping the world safe from communism. And what the Soviets would do, they would say, well, look how you treat your Negroes. Look at how you treat the Black people in your country. But yet here you claim to be spreading democracy. So many enemies of the United States have often used the conditions of Black people to show the hypocrisy of Western imperialism and so-called Western civilization and advancement. The Vietnamese, the Chinese, the Russian, the Soviets, even during World War II, the Japanese, when you had, Black sailors, the Japanese would be like, hey, why are you fighting us? You got your own problems. Even the Germans during the First World War, the Germans were like, what's your problem? You got, and it was so funny because after World War I, you have the Red Summer of 1919, where the Black soldiers were turning back from war and they were being attacked and lynched and beat on. So many foreign countries have used the plight of Black people, and also too, many of the freedoms and the rights the protests that African people have done has been used as an inspiration across the world. So many people see that and they emulate that. I always remember when the Iranian hostage crisis, they let the black people go. They didn't let because they recognized the black people were oppressed in America, the same way America was oppressing them and keeping the Shah in power. So I think that there's a recognition of those struggles. That's why there's a Patrice Lumumba University, why there's a Malcolm X Street. They had one before America had one. So I do think they kind of use our images and as a way to speak to their own particular plights against imperialism.
Good
I
stuff,
I
Black.
just want I just wanted to
Sure.
say one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so what Lexiel's saying is true. Other countries do use that. Oh, look how you treat the black people in your country. They do that. But also, how do they treat the black people in their country that have been there? China, just about every country you can name. No black person would want to go and stay there and live out their generations for, uh, you know, you know, over anywhere else really. It's just as bad, if not worse. Um, so that's why I say that they're not doing that to help. Sorry, they're not doing that they're not putting out this type of stuff to make us wake up because whatever country it may be, they have their own problems and they don't have time. They really don't have no time to be trying to make us wake up. This is like just war. This is like the military tactic. This is 101. Like they just throwing shots at each other. America throws shots at them, and they throw shots at America. Oh, you're so awful. When they both treat black people like crap, really. All in when you look at the whole history. Like to me, it's just like if you treat black people like crap in your own country, clearly you're not trying to quote unquote wake us up. Like I don't see that at all. I don't see that whatsoever. Maybe you got a couple friends who have been Americanized that are not white and they lived in America for a while and they feel sorry for the black plight. But in general, you go over to that country, they not rocking with you like that because they are for their people. They're doing what they're supposed to do. They are for their people first, above all, even if it means the exploitation of other people. And that's how we need to be.
Appreciate that, Sister Cheryl. Let's welcome in Brother Bakari this week. Brother Bakari, how are you?
What's going on, man? I'm absolutely magnificent.
Good.
I agree with Cheryl and our matron. What she put in the chat, the enemy of your enemy. Because I live by that. The enemy of my enemy is not my friend. I could just have two enemies fighting, and I'm gonna get out the way and let them destroy one another and see what I can get. And see what we can take over in the process. This and when Cheryl said about how can they talk about how black people here is treated, but then you don't treat your black people well in your country. Like when I have a good friend, he had to talk about Palestine. Oh, Palestinians came here and was going to teach us how to guerrilla warfare. I'm like, how do they treat the black people in their country? That's the first thing I always ask. And if you treat the black people in your country bad, you can't come to me and tell me you don't like the way I'm treated. Because if you treat your people and your black people in your country bad, if you had an opportunity to treat me bad, you would do the same thing. So this AI video, it is funny. I'll give them that. It's funny. They didn't put out a couple of them. That was funny. One I thought was disrespectful toward the end. They put MLK, Malcolm X, and they had a couple more people and got them dressed in Iranian garb. I don't understand why they had to be dressed in Iranian garb. But hey, that's me. But to me, it's funny. I think they're using black people because they know how they'll use this. They know how black people is treated in this country. So it's a good time to use this, right? Because if they felt that way and black people been treated a certain way in this country, you didn't put out your AI videos until Israel and the United States start bombing your ass. Then you going back and forth with Trump. Now you want to put it out and act like you worry about the black folk over here. Because if you would, you would have done it a long time ago. Not that I'm expecting them to worry about me. You know, I don't think what we go through is other people's business. And I don't think what other people go through is our business. And that's me. But like I said, those AI videos, they are funny. They are funny to me. And that's what I have to say about it.
Appreciate that, brother Bakari. In the chat, Trigger Happy says sometimes the analysis from black people in these conflicts could just be assessing particular bouts of weakness in American imperialism and openings for us, which is what Bakari basically said as well. Trigger goes on to say, me wanting one party to win over another is just thinking in a manner that helps our endeavors eventually. AES is trying to get defense capabilities from Iran, for example, and that's big. Shout out to Sister Ross. Sister Ross, I haven't seen you around in a while. Sister Ross says, stand out. They killed we people who were on those lands and killed most of our people there. Lotta says, I will go back. I will go to Africa. D Web is out there. Shout out to D Web from the Harsh Rally podcast. He says, peace, family. Hope everyone is well. Someone else was here for a second and they left, but Wani, you've heard everything everyone else had to say. What say you to Iranian hip hop? Who knew?
Yeah, I think that Iranians, this war is this video was a propaganda video. I think it was a propaganda video for the hearts and minds of not necessarily the Black Americans in America. I think they use Black American music, but I don't think that was necessarily specifically for Black American people, because they were speaking in English, and many other parts of the world speak English, and they and listen to hip hop as well, and find this is catchy, it's relatable, and it's in English. So for all the so-called Black people in the world who are oppressed, who speak English, they find this very relatable, especially with the use of animation. The use of animation was very interesting in this video, very interesting. And in terms of the hearts and minds, I understand that the Americans want to be nationalistic, but what about the rest of the world? They're going to see this war as an act of attrition. If I'm living in a country and someone attacks me for no reason, and murders the children in my community or whatever, I have a right to defend myself about that, especially the people who doing it and pointing the finger at us, pedophiles and all kind of things. I think that speaks to something, because no one likes a pedophile, no one. So I think that this, and also too, for the people who are in the world who don't necessarily understand why this war is being waged, because many people don't understand that. And Fox News have their daily dose, their daily narrative of why they decided to attack a country that didn't attack them. So I think that with animation and music, this video is very instructive. It's very instructive. So you want to win a war on different kinds of fronts. You want to win the war of attrition in terms of bombing and things like that. But you also want to win a war for hearts and minds of people to galvanize behind you, because people want to claim who's right in doing what they did. And of course, to attack someone who didn't attack you, They have a justification. So you have to tell the people or inform the people, not only in the country and not only in America, but in the Western world, why they decided to do the things that they do. Because when American bodies are being sent back in coffins, you have to give justification for that. You have to give justification for that. You can't just react and defend yourself. And now Americans are being sent home in coffins, and you have no justification for it. And where much of the Western world are ill-informed, uninformed in terms of international matters, and they wouldn't watch a thing like Professor Zhang. They wouldn't watch a professor speaking and things like that. This is simplified, broken down to its basic kind of level of why what is happening is occurring. And I think that people should be aware of things like this. And I think that they're doing a brilliant job with it. Millions of people are watching this video, millions. And there are millions of people who are in support of anyone have a right to defend their country, to defend themselves, to defend the people in it, whether you agree with their politics or not. And the Americans would feel the same exact way if someone was to come and bomb their country and blow up their school full of children, blow up a school full of children. Everyone would get behind them. The world would get behind them. But in this case, you see the world turning away when Trump asks for support in going to their country and looting and pillaging and doing what they do. So I think that it's an instructional video. I think it's a justification kind of video. And I think that they are doing an effective job because of the millions of eyes this thing is actually getting. So I think that the usage of hip hop just goes to the point that hip hop is a global phenomenon, and it could be very useful to dumb down the people, but also to instruct the people as well. They use hip hop and they use animation to tell a story, and it's very wise to do so. It's very wise to do so. What is Trump response? Is he going to get Kid Rock to to create an album against the Iranian people? Who knows? A country musician?
Well, they've
Who
already
knows?
done some. They already took some of the imaging from the explode from the strikes they've done on Iranian missiles and whatnot, and
Yeah,
they put the from the video game Call of Duty, and they had some music to it. So they've done their own share of
yeah,
propaganda too. But they're using connection to video games. I think it was very wise for Iranians to use Lego because Lego is actually the number one selling toy in the world. So I think that was very interesting that they used Legos. But U.S. is doing propaganda too by using video games and whatnot.
yeah. Absolutely. They're gonna volley. They're trying to win the hearts and minds of people, but you have to give reason why people are being killed or unalived. When American soldiers are being unalived, you have to give reason for that. When children in a high school are being or a primary school are being bombed, yeah, the America have to give justification for that because these are war crimes. So you have to, and nobody is trying to make no one feel bad. But you have to give justification why people are actually dying, needlessly dying. You have to give justification and reason for that, or you'll end up in the Hague. Who knows what's going to happen? Trump already then says he is going to preemptively pardon all the people who have been what do you say 10 feet in the White House. He's going to preemptively pardon it at the end of his place in office. He's going to preemptively pardon all those people. So obviously he's signaling to everyone, you could commit any crime that you want to commit because I'm going to pardon you at the end of my time in office. This is the statements of a criminal. But needless to say, it's this kind of international politics I really try to stay away from. So I ain't
Why?
really going
Why? Why you're so good at it? Why?
nah, man, nah. This is shoot the breeze. We shooting the breeze. I will keep it light. I will keep it light. I will keep it light.
And by the way, thanks for that one. I made a mistake. I was supposed to put two prompts together and I didn't. So Black Steel just reminded me The next prompt was going to be this one here, and I think this might be the video Black Steel and them are talking about.